Super Kick Branding, and we want to talk about something that is really important for every business to do. Every business should be doing this exercise and revisiting it frequently, because it's really going to help you understand your customers on the deepest possible level and know how to serve them in a way that's going to make them excited and loyal to your business. And we're talking about buyer personas. So, Nick, I was thinking, why don't we start by defining what a buyer persona is, what kind of questions you need to ask when you're building it, and then we'll get into how to use it, how to implement it, and why it's so important. So, sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds great. Let's do it.
We've built a lot of buyer personas for different types of businesses, nonprofits as well. This is something any organization can use, because when you're serving other people, you've got to understand them. And, you know, we've said this on the podcast before, but it bears repeating. If you're for everyone, you're for no one.
Yeah.
You know, you can't say, oh, my customer base is anybody. I want everybody to feel like they can buy from me. No, you have to narrow it down, because if you're too generic, you're too broad, then you're just going to have a watered down brand. So you do have to narrow down who your customers are and who they aren't, and really understand them so that you can serve them the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if people have been listening for a while, they understand that I look at marketing like relationships. Okay, so this just reminds me of the story of my wife. Before we met, one of the things that she did is that she sat down and she started thinking about, like, what kind of person do I want in my life? And, you know, I've seen all these other people before she met me, the great, wonderful me. Just kidding. And and she was trying to figure out, hey, like, what kind of guy do I want in my life? And so for her to get that clarity, she decided to just sit down and write out, like, you know what? I want him to be like this. I want him to have this. I want him to have this going on, this type of personality. And she just went into great detail. And as she told me, like, after she met me, that everything that she wrote down in this list was exactly like me. And so when we think about, the whole point of this is, as we think about with our own business, it's really about getting clear about who it is that you're going to go after. So, like, what you're talking about is, like, if I'm sitting here thinking about, like, I'm going to have all these different customers, it doesn't matter. They make this amount of money. It's like, you are so broad that you're not attracting the right type of customer for your business. So what ends up happening is and we've heard this with some of the companies that we've worked with, is like, well, customers are not staying with us very long. They buy one item, then they leave, and they don't come back, and they're not repeat. They're not staying with us for years and years and years. And that's because it's like you're taking this real shotgun approach to your marketing. And if you were really clear about, okay, this is the type of person I'm going to date, this is the type of person I want in my life, AKA your customers, because the reality is that you really are dating them and then you're getting married. Because it's like, we've seen this, like, a lot of companies, they just go straight for the marriage proposal, like buy, and that's marriage, right? So it's like, because that person's committing to doing business with you. And so there's not a lot of this courting that happens, or dating, where it's like, here's some information, here's some questions, let's get some interaction with the brand first before we ask them to make this commitment. And so the point is you are, like, going out and putting all this type of different marketing in front of these customers, and you're courting them. Well, you want to court the right type of person for your business. So that way they really understand, like, okay, I see the transformation that's going to happen for me with your brand. I really understand the value. And most importantly, you are really going after the problems that I have, and you're solving them in such a way that no other person can solve this same problem. And so once you're able to really write that out and get super clear on who your buyer persona is, what you'll start finding out is that you will naturally start attracting that type of customer into your business. And then all of a sudden you're going to start looking up and going, wow, I'm starting to notice that instead of someone getting one order from us, they're buying four. They're starting to stay with us instead of just a year. They're now actually, the lifetime value of this customer is now 3 to 4 years. And it's all because you got crystal clear on the type of person that you want to have as a customer. And that's really what a buyer persona is going to do for your business.
Exactly. And it's really important to write this out and be totally clear on who your customer base is so that you can share this with the rest of your team. No matter what kind of business you're in retail, your whole sales floor needs to understand who the customer is so that they can interact with them in the right way, the way that's going to make them feel that delight from being in your store and want to come back. So first thing we do when we're creating a buyer persona, this is the relatively easy part, the demographics, right? I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this. It's pretty basic that you just need to know what's the age range of your average customer. Are they mostly men, mostly women? What's the geographic location that they're in? What's their income level? Okay. I think every business owner understands that. So I don't think we need to add anything more to demographics. But this is the secret sauce for the buyer persona. You've got to go beyond demographics and talk about psychographics.
Here's the thing that you really want to add to this. Before you start writing down all this stuff, everything that you're saying is right. Like most people are going to just sit down and go, I'm looking for males that are 25 to 35. And they make $50,000 a year and, they have 3 kids or whatever it is, right? But as an owner, the first thing that you really need to do is to visualize the day in life of this person. What are they really going through? So when I'm talking about visualize, like how do they wake up? What's the first thoughts that this person's going to have? Because that's going to help you get really clear. Like, okay, for example, when they wake up, first thing that they're thinking about is like, how am I going to get my bills paid? Traffic's going to be a bear today. I'm going to get to work without feeling stressed out, right? And so you really want to start thinking through and visualizing their entire day from morning all the way until night. Because once you're able to get inside the mind of your customer and you can really understand the psychology and understand their pain points, understand that this life has a routine and that your product is going to make that routine better. Like say you're a brand that sells workout equipment. So the day in the life of a person is waking up, it's just so lethargic. I shouldn't have ate what I ate last night. Maybe I had just one too many drinks. But the carbs, they were so good. But now I'm just, I suck. Oh my gosh. I just constantly just not keeping up with my diet. I say I'm going to work out, but you know what? I'm running late. I got to get to work. And then they get to work and they're still beating themselves up. Well, forget it. I'm just going to just pour into my work. You know what? It's lunchtime. I can't leave. I have no energy. Let me just go and order from a fast food place because it's just so convenient. Okay. I'm going to work out after work today. Day ends and they're like, their wife calls them, hey, babe, I need you to go to the store. And the kids are like, Dad, I need you to go and I need you to pick me up from softball practice. Dad, I need new pairs of pants. And then, now you're going home. It's 8 o'clock. And now you're getting an email from your boss. Hey, we need that report. A whole day went by. See, so you're visualizing what it is that this person's going through from the time they wake up to the end of the day. And so now what that allows you to do is say, well, how do we create transformation with our product for this customer? How do we get our customer to now wake up because of the pain points that we solve? Now they wake up and they're like, I'm so happy today. Man, I can't wait to go hit the gym. I can't wait to try this new food because it's just so exciting, right? And you created that transformation. But you're not able to really do that without first placing yourself into their shoes. Because here's the thing. It's like, as a lot of owners, the issue that they have is that they're thinking about their day in life. They're thinking about the bottom line for their business. They're thinking about their employees. They're thinking about, how do we get sales? We need more sales. I mean, I've just been in too many of these conversations where, they just come in, Nick, you got to get your team. We got to make sales right now, right now, right now, right now, and right now. We need money. And it's like, you're going to get sales if we show transformation, if we're able to put that into the marketing and really drive that message, sales will come. And not only that, they're going to come in abundance because you're actually fulfilling this promise. People are seeing that transformation. But if you're only thinking about the bottom line for your business, and you're only thinking about, like, I'm just want to be super successful, then you're going to really struggle with getting into the psychology of your customers. And you're going to really struggle with keeping your customers long term. So, that was a long answer to your question, but the first thing you really need to do is visualize and put yourself into your customer's shoes. And it's going to help you with the process of creating your buyer's persona.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have empathy for the customer, not just treat them like someone pumping money into your cash registers. Like, they are someone that has a problem and are coming to you for a solution. So you've got to think about what their day is like relative to that problem. And having that empathy, that's going to help drive the psychographics too. Okay. So what we mean by psychographics is beyond demographics, not just who the person is on a surface level, but what they're thinking, what they're feeling. So things like, what are their common frustrations? What are their biggest fears? Okay. Maybe you're an events company. Okay. And maybe you're appealing to people who have FOMO. Okay. Fear of missing out. Maybe that's the fear that you're trying to reach. Okay. So you're putting on events for people who want to make sure that they're part of what's going on, what's the fun stuff that's happening in their city. You're putting it on so they don't feel left out. So they feel like they're part of something bigger. Or maybe you're talking about the workout equipment. What's a fear of someone who could use workout equipment? Motivation, self-esteem. Maybe they just want to improve their health so they can live longer, so that they can play with their kids. Think about that kind of stuff. Tap into what those fears are and think about how your business is going to solve that problem for them so that they can be transformed. So when you're going through psychographics, you're asking yourself all these questions, including questions relative to your business and other businesses in your industry. So for example, purchasing decisions. What are the factors that lead to someone making a purchase decision? What are some things that would drive them away? What are those deal breakers? So let's say you have a retail store. Someone comes in, bell rings when they walk through the door. Your staff looks up like, well, hey, and then they look back at their phone. That could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. They're going to be like, okay, they're not going to help me. I'm going to go somewhere else where they will help me. Okay. So your staff needs to know that so that they can be like, oh, okay, this person's going to walk away if I don't give them attention. So you go up and you say, hi, welcome to our store. How can I help you today? Are you just looking? Okay, let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to help. That's a big part of what a buyer persona does. It helps inform the way your staff interacts with people, the way your marketing messages are. And you really have to dig into those psychographics, figure out what these people are like. What is their day like? You can even get into political views, religious views, if that's relevant to your business. Okay. Commonly held opinions about certain things. You can dive as deep as you feel you need to with a buyer persona to create this character that is going to serve as a representative of your customer base.
Absolutely. I would like people out there to think of themselves as like Jedis. Okay. So here's the thing, like, think about the story. If you've seen Star Wars, right, your customers are coming in as Luke. Maybe for some of the newer people out there, the younger people, you're coming in as Rey.
I'm a Jar Jar Binks fan myself.
The point is, your customers are coming in as Luke, and what they're looking for is a Yoda. They're looking for someone who's going to help them become a Jedi, who's going to help them be transformed. And so, like, and how this plays out is like what Matt's talking about. Like, your say your Salesforce or your customer service, they're Yodas. Okay, so a person comes in, and I want to be built up to be a Jedi. So would that story have worked if Yoda kept ignoring Luke? If Luke came there and said, "Hey, I need your help. I want to take my craft to the next level, and I know that I need to get a guide, someone who's already been there, and not only has already been there, but has reached the pinnacle of this craft, right?" And so that's literally your customer service. So it's like, if like what Matt's talking about, if I'm coming in and going, "Hey, I'm on my phone, I need to go take a cigarette break, I need to go do all these other things," or even if I call the business, or if I'm going to your website and I don't understand how you're helping me. All I see is messaging and imageries and things like that that are not showing me that you're paying attention to my needs, that you're paying attention to how to get me from point A to point C. So then you're just going to have customers that are just going to get frustrated and go, "You know what? You're not the type of Yoda that I want. Like, I need to go over to the dark side because they're paying attention to my needs," right? It's like, so you have to start thinking about it in that way. Like, remove yourself as the hero and understand that your customers are that hero, and that you're helping them with really their journey. And that's what part of the buyer's persona really is. It's saying, like, well, how do we turn a Luke's into master Jedis? I'm not talking about the old Luke, not the bitter Luke, okay? I'm talking about the young, fresh, excited Luke, the one that was filled with hope. Well, I'm talking about that guy, right? So you want to be thinking about it in that way as you're building out the persona. And then, like what Matt's talking about, you can then start guiding your teams and say, "Look, our customers, they're always the hero. So if they call in because they had a problem with our product, they're the hero. Let's build them up. Let's make sure that when they get off this phone call with us, that they feel like Jedis. They feel transformed by our experience." Like, oh, because you know what? Because these customers, that they will call in from time to time if they have a problem with your product, right? And you don't want them disgruntled. You want them to feel like the hero. And so each of these things, when we're talking about communication, really applies to every single level of your business. It can apply to your billing. It can apply to your HR department. It can apply everywhere, because if even your internal team understands that they're Jedis, they understand the importance that they play in the overall story of your brand. They understand the importance that they play with your buyer's persona. So when they come to work, they feel a sense of purpose. Like, I understand how I'm being a part of the overall story of this brand. And it's really all about the customers and helping them get from point A to point C.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, we've written out demographics. We've written out a whole list of psychographics. We're starting to understand our customer, but that's not enough. Now we need to write a story about the customer. And yes, you have to write a story. Don't tell me, "Oh, I don't like to write. Why do I have to write a fictional piece of that?" No. Get over yourself and write this out. First of all, give the character a name. Find a name that's going to fit, just because what that will do is put it in people's minds. So let's say you have your buyer persona and, guy's name's Bob. Okay. Come up with something better than that. But your staff reads that, and every time they interact with a customer, they're thinking to themselves, is this how Bob would want to be treated? Is this how Susan would want to be treated? Or when you're working on your marketing materials, you think, okay, does Bob care about this? Is this going to make Susan come into our store? It really helps if you give the character a name, and then you write out that story and start with what their average day is like right now before they interact with your brand. Okay. Write the sad story about whatever frustrations they have, what kind of pain they're in, that they've tried other solutions and here's why they didn't work. And they're worried that nothing's going to work. They're down to their last shot. Go through all that stuff. Really tap into the pain points that they're feeling. And then start writing about them walking into your store. Talk about now how they're starting to transform, how they're starting to feel, interacting with your brand. And then write about what their day is like now. They've already interacted with your brand. They've made a purchase. How has your brand transformed them in a positive way? Okay. Just write that whole thing out in a few paragraphs. It doesn't have to be a novel, just as much as you can to give everyone on your team a good snapshot of really what they're trying to achieve when a customer comes to their store or their website or whatever. It informs their customer service. It informs the marketing. It informs every single touch point you have with your business. So write that all out and make sure everybody on your team reads it, understands it, and lives it.
And if you get stuck, okay, first thing for this type of exercise, please do not use one of those chat AIs for this. Please do not. Okay. This is not something that you want to use any of that type of stuff for. So I just want to make that clear in case someone's like, I got writer's block. If you are stuck and you're like, I'm having a lot of writer's block. I don't know what to do. This is what I would encourage you to do. Why don't you go and experience some of the brands that are some of the brands that you want to be like, or some of the companies in your field that you admire and say, these are some of the people that we want to aspire to be like. So go and experience what it's like at that brand. Because then what that's going to allow you to do is understand the experience that your customers are going to have, right? Oh, wow, they had this type of delight. I had all these emotions when I dealt with this particular brand compared to this brand. Because then from there, you're going to really understand that these are the same experiences or similar experiences that your customers are going to have with your brand, or these are some of the experiences that they're going to expect with your brand. So then that can really help you get some of the juices going. If you're just like, again, I don't know where to begin, start there. Just put yourself into their shoes by experiencing all these things. And then you can then come back to the table and you're going to just start noticing all these ideas are just flowing. Like, oh, I like this about this. I didn't like this about this. Okay, this is the experience. This is the transformation. This is what's going to make us different here at this company. So just a tip in case you get stuck.
Yeah. Or think about times that you have had some kind of frustration, some kind of pain point, and you went to a business and they solved your problem. Maybe you had intense back pain for a while and you went to a physical therapist and they helped you. Like, think about what your experience was. Were they friendly when they greeted you? Was it easy to find this place when you'd never been there before? Did they explain what was causing your problem? Did they help you understand it and not in like with super medical terms? Did they talk to you on a way that's like bringing it down to the layperson's level without making you feel stupid? Okay. And then did they actually solve the problem and give you exercises that you can do at home? How did you feel before you saw that physical therapist? How do you feel now? Okay. Stuff like that. Think about your own experiences because we've all had them, and use that to get the juices flowing for your buyer persona. And finally, if you still need help, we do have a resource at thebrandoutlaw.com. We have what we call the Buyer Persona Playbook. We've put together a PDF. It goes over some of these points, and it also has several pages where you can fill out the demographics. We have a whole bunch of suggested psychographic questions that you can answer right in the PDF. And of course, you don't have to be limited to what we've written. If you think of any more on your own, go ahead and add those. But this is a great starting point. And then we give you some tips on how to write that narrative. And we have a sample narrative in there as well. Click the link in the show notes so you can download it. It's a free resource. Just it's a great way to get your creative juices flowing and start building that buyer persona.
And in case you're wondering, like, how does this apply to your marketing? Okay. Like, okay, I built out my buyer persona. Like, how do I really utilize this? This is where it helps you with your messaging. Like, if you understand who your buyer persona is, you're going to write messages that are targeted to that person. You're also, it's going to help you with your visuals, because instead of us just putting random images of people and using all these type of stock images, you're going to be able to have images that are going towards that particular buyer's persona. And it's because really what you want this person to say when they land on your website is, this is my tribe. They totally get me. They understand me, right? I mean, many of us have heard all these different types of terms for different people. Like, think of it like Beyonce, right? Beyonce has the Bayhive. That's really what it is, right? It's a tribe. It's a tribe that loves Beyonce, but more importantly, it's a tribe of like-minded people. So when they get on here, they all have this thing in common. We want to be these glamorous people in life, and that's why we're attracted to her. So again, but just to make a long story short, like, this type of stuff helps you with even the type of testimonies that you're asking from your customers, right? Because we see this, like, okay, I'm going to reach out to our customer. I'm going to ask him for a testimony. And what does the customer say? What do you want me to say about your business? Oh, just talk about your experience. And it's like, no, but if you understand your buyer's persona, you understand their transformation, you can give them clear direction on what kind of feedback you're really looking for with your business, because that's the type of feedback your buyer's personas are going to want. So it's really, again, all about communication, and communication is done through all the senses that humans have: eyes, sound, smells, all of this type of stuff. It does permeate through your marketing. It's like it's done through commercials, right? It's the sounds they use in the backgrounds to emote emotion from you. It's the tone of their voices, right? It's the colors that they're using. It's the people that they choose to be in these commercials. If they understand their buyer persona, they're going to do it so well that the person that they're talking to is literally going to picture themselves inside that using that product, being a part of that world. So that's how all this stuff really relates to your marketing.
Yeah, and not just what your marketing looks like, but where it is. Understand your customers so that you can decide, do I need to be in print, TV? Do I need to put it all into digital? And then if so, even where in those things? Print, is it magazines? Is it newspapers? If it's television, what channel do I need to be on? If it's all digital or even just partially digital, am I going on Facebook? Am I on Twitter? Do I have YouTube? So many choices, and it all comes from understanding your customer base, and that's why you need buyer personas. Click the link in the show notes. You can download the free buyer persona playbook and get your creative juices flowing so you can write a great buyer persona for your brand.